High Plains Technology Center, turning education and training into workplace success.
Oh, back to school, to prove to Dad that I'm not a fool.
High Plains Technology Center, education at the speed of business. School is now in session.
Here we are, Wednesday morning. Taylor Burnett sitting next to the one and only Barclay Holt.
Morning, T.
You know, one thing I started thinking about, here we are back on the air. All these sports have like preseason and, preliminary things. We don't get any of that action, do we?
No, there's no prelim. It's just show up and go. Yeah.
It's kind of scary over across the board more than anything. Hopefully they have that beat button ready. I don't know.
That's right.
I've already shot fireworks before then, and I get into firework mode every so often.
May and you blink and it's August.
No question.
Wow.
No question.
Wow.
Welcome back. Here we are once again. School is in full session. That's why we decided to have it this week instead of last week with the full week. Well, not really a full week for most, but some, I guess, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, because some are out on Friday. So
that's right.
Yeah. And we've got a first holiday right in front of us as well. But we have been kind of busy, and I always like to start the show off, the first show of the year with Barclay, to kind of give a recap because, it's amazing kind of what we get done during the summer, and he remembers things, and then I'm going to remember things, and maybe between the two of us, we will hopefully remember things together.
That's right.
Is that the
two is better than one?
We usually have Camille and Tara telling us what's right and what's wrong.
If not, they'll tell us
exactly.
Later on, so.
They'll be calling us here in a little bit and saying you're wrong.
It's been extremely fast. The summer always is. It's obviously don't have the high school students around, but it's still lots of business and industry stuff going on, lots of classes, and then we try to play catch-up to get everything ready to go for the next year. So that's been this summer, and then in addition to the catch-up's been all the ongoings in Beaver County, that passed back in January, got TAP programs in those schools going. The model's going to look a little different out there, but so far, so good. We just had about 300 entries at the Beaver County Fair from TAP kids and about 300 to 400 here in Woodward County at the fair. So just blink and we're back in facilities, remodeled those facilities out there this summer, and we're there. We're going.
It was county fair time. We had county fair here in Woodward this weekend in Woodward County, and they had it. If you have not been out to the Beaver County Fair, what's the one thing that people don't really understand that they do out there? I know that a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know.
Well, the cow chip.
Yeah.
Only place in America you throw a cow chip and,
so
dry.
Yeah, dry. So in layman's terms, what is a cow chip, Barclay? Because some people out there that are listening might not understand.
They're everywhere. I mean, just try to find a cow and look behind them. You'll find a cow chip. Maybe a cow patty, but turn into a cow chip.
Have you ever practiced on any of your land at all?
Oh yeah, I don't want to tell too many stories. But
I always love it too because if you've watched anything or talked to anybody out there, they always, because they get two throws, they always say the key is in between throws is licking their fingers.
Yeah. Well, the other day when I asked somebody, I said that wind was blowing about 30 out of the south. I said, how exactly do you throw that thing? Is there an angle to get that? Yeah, it was a deal.
That's cool.
Can't imagine.
That's cool. And they had Darcy Lynn this year.
Darcy Lynn was there Saturday night, and so
yeah.
A year ago we went out there when this was just a pipe dream, and they called us and wanted to talk about it and wanted us to come out and do ice cream. And that day it spit rain and was 65, 70 degrees. It was not that this year. You had to be a little tougher, a little bit more Beaver County-esque this time. So.
What did you say the other morning when we were having a wrap up? You said some of the people that waited too long to get ice cream got what?
They got milkshakes, and if you wait a little longer, you got vanilla milk. And you didn't have to wait very long between the two. It was wow.
It was just a little different this past weekend.
Yeah. But it's been a different heat this summer, so
no question.
Anyway.
We got rope-a-doped a little bit into things because I remember at Meet the Boomer night, people were in hoodies.
Rope-a-doped?
Yeah, rope-a-doped. Muhammad Ali.
Okay, rope-a-doped.
So, yeah, you need to look up that term along with cow chip, I guess.
Yeah.
So, the cool thing is Beaver County has been. It's amazing that it's only been 7 months for us. Fast forward, but one of the cool things about it is what we are able to offer out there in the part that's underserved, and we talked about that left and right as well. But, the resources that we have now available even more so with the far-reaching resources, what do you think that is going to do for High Plains Technology Center overall?
Well, I think maybe even High Plains, but talk about career tech as a whole. I know that's something our director and state board, those business and industry leaders that are out there on that state board, they're excited about it because we know that career and technical education is being screamed for everywhere. Basic skills, those types of programs that 4 or 5 weeks, 20 weeks, a student go in, get out of, go to a career. That's being talked about everywhere and just seems to be timely. But we're getting that done, and it's been a big push across the country. But I know everybody's excited about it. At High Plains, it has made it fast and furious. But me and you were just talking, I guess it was yesterday, about how that years ago when we started the TAP program, a bigger vision to TAP and getting kids ready was to get them to your programs up there that we're doing, WIND, LPN, those adult programs, and we're seeing that really all come together in terms of enrollment and everything, and kids are interested in that. Young people and adults are coming back to it.
And that's what I love, right now in Beaver County, really, other than the adult and evening classes that we're kind of offering on the small scale so far, and we'll get bigger with that, is the TAP aspect, and it's getting those kids ready in the future. Kids that probably haven't had that opportunity before, and they've been farm kids, a lot of those kids out there, but they haven't had a lot of the skills that they're learning, and it's pretty cool. We'll see the attrition because really, in my opinion, Barclay and I've talked about it till we're blue in the face, is what you're getting ready is our kids for the workforce at a young age and getting that implemented. And it's a big step, and we've seen it work so far. Yeah,
just exposure. And we've it's been fun to watch what it's done even in our daytime programs, is getting a kid an exposure when they're 6th, 7th, and 8th grader, and then they come along as a sophomore, junior, senior. Maybe they hone that idea. They've kind of got an idea of maybe 25 things they thought they might want to do when they're a 6th or 7th grader, and then they've narrowed it to maybe 10, 12, and maybe it's in one area by the time they're a junior, senior, and then it just makes for better decision making. It doesn't matter if you're shopping for a car or whatever you're doing, if you can kind of look at everything and kind of work your way down, and I think that's what we're doing. I don't think
without a doubt.
I don't think there's any real rocket science to it, but it's sure enough giving kids. Lots of conversations I have with our young people anymore. They have a better idea when they're coming out there to us of what they want to do. I see more kids doing internships and summer jobs that are kind of in line with what they think they might want to do now.
Which is great.
If
not waste your time like the guy to your right has done.
All of us have done it at some point.
So. The cool thing is I always sit.
Maybe not Branson.
The cool thing I sit here and think about is really things like how it would have benefited me, and I know that I see that in our youth. And everybody that undervalues our youth nowadays really probably doesn't understand and doesn't have a grasp and a concept, because I always say all the time, I really challenge you to go and visit and see what our programs do, not only our full-time programs, but the TAP programs as well. I
just visited with a group of young people at Turpin the other day, and I told them that, we haven't talked about this, but I actually just had that very discussion and said, a lot of people want to have an opinion about today's young people and say they either can, can't, whatever. And I said, more times than not, you guys have the biggest opportunity to prove most people wrong when they say that they can't do that. And I said, it's just by the way you go do it. We see it every day. Mm-hmm. I get to sit in the best seat in the house and see when kids are given an opportunity what they make of it. Shame on us when we don't give them the opportunity.
Boy, those are big words for early in the morning.
Yeah, on the
first
day back to school.
You had that drive over that you had to really think about with things, didn't you? Yeah. The thing that I love, and one of the things that Barclay and I've talked about, and Dawn and Vicky as well, is I hate at times how we don't have every avenue possible for every kid that's after high school. that's in high school, that's in TAP. As much as we try and want to and do, but we're working towards that. And when you look at the future with that aspect,
there's a plan.
Okay,
there's a plan, and we've been working towards it. I mean, we've got a post-secondary model out there that we want to build on. We've got several of those programs right now, and LPN, WIND, CNA, CDL has been very successful the last year and a half. We want to build on those types of programs, and that's where we're headed. That's where our dollars and cents and where we're headed to making that happen. It's just we are busting at the seams with our high school enrollment and our TAP enrollment. But I always said if you want to have a need for that next step, you have to have a group to draw from on that. And we've kind of created our own recruiting ground more or less, and our kids are just, and I say our kids, I'm talking about Northwest Oklahoma Panhandle kids, are they're so much farther ahead on ability to go into these trades and things that people desperately need because even though we know there's not as much exposure as maybe there was 30 years ago, our kids still have more than they do in the downtown inner city. So we're ahead. Well,
I say there, no offense to anybody else, but we're a little bit tougher out here because we're a little bit more self-reliant because we have to be.
And still communities that support. I mean, you can't say enough about. There's not this infighting in your communities. There's not the infighting of the parents. Let's do what's good for kids. You see that all the time in Northwest Oklahoma. It's almost a lost art if you look in other places. It's just not there.
You're not wrong. It's
got to be somebody else's fault besides who's looking in the mirror, and that's not the way it is out here.
Everybody wants a piece of the pie, and everybody fights over that smallest piece of the pie. When really, when you look at it, there's a big piece of the pie out there for everybody if you just do things the right way, in my opinion.
And enough to go around for everybody. Our kids, we're very blessed, and it's people, it's our schools. We can have a conversation about how can we get those kids to us. It's not a well, they can't make it. We can't change the schedule. We've always left the bus at 8:05. We don't deal with those kinds of things. And if we do deal with that a little bit, we can pick up the phone, talk to each other, and we usually can come to a common ground. For the betterment of a kid.
And that's the beauty about working with the sending schools that we work with, and that's what you're talking about, because we are very, very blessed at that, and I know you know that all too well.
Absolutely.
The cool thing as well is, what a lot of companies are looking at, what a lot of companies are talking about, and when they're recruiting are really the rural kids are where it's at because of A, the work ethic, B, their surroundings, and C, they can kind of go into almost any place and actually be a chameleon a little bit in essence. When you take someone that's in inner city and then someone that's working or living in a big metropolis, it's a struggle if you want to work them in oil and gas, if you want to work them in wind, because they don't understand what rural America is like, because it is a little bit of a different animal.
100%. I mean, and what do our kids like? What have they grown up around? Is open space. That's in itself is hard to acclimate to not having the high-end restaurant 2 blocks away from you or a mall or all that. That's things that I don't want to be a part of. I don't care about.
That's what I'm saying. You're going, guys, sounds horrible.
But you have to understand that there's some people that's what they look for in quality of life. Our kids out here haven't grown up around that. They're used to getting the vehicle for 2.5 hours. If they want to go do that, they'll do that at the beginning of school, and they'll do it at Christmas time, and the rest of the time that can stay there. So I think we kind of double down on what we are, and we've had some success there. There's no doubt. Our kids want to come back. We're seeing, we've turned out, Taylor, you've probably got the exact number, but we're probably up. We've got to be pushing close to 100, if not between 70 and 100 CDL drivers in the last year and a half.
Easily.
And if you take that, a big portion of those young people are going to work in companies right around here, or for themselves.
And we've figured out kind of the average wage. We're doing that in conjunction with Central Tech, but the average wage is around $25 an hour.
Yeah.
And that's without overtime. Of course, there's a little bit of limitations on the hours that they can drive, but it's a huge thing. And everybody says, hey, there's not enough jobs, there's not enough things, there's not enough this, there's not enough that. But really, if you look inward, it's are you willing to accept and do these positions that are well paying and their careers? That's the best thing.
Yep. No, and we're seeing it even down. Like I said, I've seen it pushed down to the young kids too.
Yep. And that's the best thing around. It's easy for us to talk about TAP, but it's there's a reason as well. So, well, thanks for coming on. Great words today, boss. I'm kind of impressed. I don't know how your day's going to get any better.
Had 3 months to think about that.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, we'll see everybody next week, and you're going to be stuck with me. So, welcome back and enjoy your week of school.